7:06 on a Friday, and you betcha we're in love. It's O'Connor and Company. Thanks for joining us and letting us be a part of your morning routine as we launch you into this weekend. We got plenty to talk about, and we promise not to use any fake names. Actually, no,
Not
we don't
anymore.
promise. No, I'm going to be using fake names. Everyone uses fake names in this town. Coming up at 7:35, Newt Gingrich. That's a fake name if I've ever heard one. 8:05,
No
Rob
way.
O'Donnell, former New York Police Department detective. And then at 8:35, Byron York. No way that's his real name.
Of
Coming
course it
up
is.
to talk about our vice president using a pseudonym when he was talking to foreign leaders. Unbelievable.
Carlos Danger, is it?
No, that's a totally different
I'm
one. This
joking.
one's
I'm
Robert
joking.
L. Peters, apparently. I am Larry O'Connor alongside Patrice Onwuka.
Yes. Those are
Patrice,
our real names.
we're both Marylanders.
Yes.
And I love Maryland. I love where I live. I do. But oftentimes I am a little jealous of my friends and neighbors and loved ones on the south side of the Potomac. Virginia has a lot going for it, not least of which express lanes on 95. Joining us right now to discuss the latest extension of express lanes is Jacqueline Woodbridge from Transurban. Thank you so much, Jacqueline, for joining us.
Hi, Larry, Patrice. Thanks so much for having me.
So, first of all, this partnership. Well, you know what? Let's get to the details of it. This the last 10-mile extension now of 95 express lanes? Where is it, and or are there more in the plans?
Sure. So as of right now, the plans are that this is the extension that we'll be going with forward. That can always change in the future depending on, how we can best impact our communities and our customers in the area.
Okay.
This 10-mile extension goes down into Fredericksburg. So currently, or I guess yesterday, the express lanes ended around Garrisonville Road up in northern Stafford. But this morning is the first rush hour. You can take it all the way down to Route 17.
Yeah.
So with that northbound traffic getting into D.C., you can take it all the way from the Rappahannock to the Potomac.
Well, and as somebody who has to drive down to Quantico on a semi-regular basis, that stretch not only was begging for this, Jacqueline, but also the fact that this is now complete means that the construction that was going on to get these lanes done,
Oh,
that's also
thank
completed.
God.
Sure. Well, we do still have 2 access points opening up later this year. So that full 10-mile extension is open with that access at the south and the north. We do have actually another access point opening up near Quantico at Russell Road later this year, as well as one at Courthouse Road, Route 630.
So, Jacqueline, talk to us about how this project came about. From what I understand, this is a public-private partnership between VDOT and, of course, Transurban. So, talk to us about that process, how much it cost, and what the prospects of more of these types of public-private partnerships are for the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Transurban's been partnering with VDOT and the Commonwealth for over 10 years now, starting with our 495 express lanes. Now we've got our 395 and 95 express lanes now as well. This particular extension cost about $670 million, is privately funded by Transurban, and has been in works with the VDOT and the Commonwealth, beginning negotiations in 2017, breaking ground in 2019, and now those 10 miles are open now in 2023.
And how now are you still utilizing the dynamic pricing for this extension or for other extensions? I know that it's still in place in some express lanes, and it can be confusing sometimes because I drive by the sign sometimes and I'll see a 3-mile stretch costing a lot more than I would expect it to cost. How do you calculate that, and is that still sort of part of the formula?
Yep, the formula is still dynamic tolling. So what we do on our back end is adjust those prices every 10 minutes. We actually collect over 2,000 data points along our roadway to make sure that we can adjust those prices and keep traffic flowing at least 55 miles an hour so folks can have that reliable, fast trip no matter what.
And now these are reversible express lanes, is that correct? So is there ever how does that work? You just determine at 3 p.m. this lane reverses and that one goes over?
Yeah, actually it's the longest reversible road in the United States now that we have this 10-mile extension added. Reversal summer schedule, it's going northbound in the morning to get folks into town. And then switches at about midday back to southbound so that everyone can get back home in the afternoon. And
Have you-
then we'll
this is-
switch again northbound at midnight.
According to Jamie Whitten, every 10 minutes on the fives here is when we check in on the traffic every morning, and she's been letting us know it seems pretty easy going today. That might be because it's the middle of summer and it's a Friday. But have you noticed, like today, are you monitoring it? Have you noticed a difference in terms of the flow?
Today we haven't, experienced any problems or backups or anything like that. Of course that can change, but so far this morning we've had a really smooth rush hour.
And anytime we have a public works like this, whether it's a totally public project or this one a public-private partnership, I'm curious as to how this went according to plan. Like, you told us the budget. Was that the original budget? Is this the schedule that you were on? Were you expected to open in August of 23?
We were actually expected to open earlier. We did encounter an issue with some highly plastic soils that are millions of years old from the Potomac glaciers and things like that. That did cause some delays and cost overruns, but those cost overruns were completely covered by Transurban, no taxpayer dollars into any of that. So this 10-mile extension is actually opening earlier than what we had initially projected after we discovered those clay soils.
Gotcha.
So, this is going to save a lot of drivers' time, and I certainly appreciate that when I'm driving south and coming back north. But do you know if there's going to be an economic impact of this extension?
Yeah, actually, just during construction, we created about $1 billion worth of economic impact here in the Stafford-Fredericksburg area, as well as created about 9,000 jobs just, with the construction project alone. And, people are going to be able to make one more delivery up to Quantico. They're going to be able to make sure they get to work on time. So that economic impact is just going to be immeasurable. Other points in which Transurban is, improving transit and quality of life in general here in Stafford is through contributions to transit. So parts of our 395 tolling revenues actually go to Northern Virginia Transportation Commission's Commuter Choice Program. We've contributed about $60 million so far for transit projects along the corridor, and about $15 million of that has actually been in Fredericksburg and Stafford.
Oh, you say that, Jacqueline, but here's the thing. You're heading down Stafford County, you're heading to Quantico. The traffic is terrible. It's not moving, so you get off at the first exit, try to find an alternate route, take side roads, and then you see that Popeye's chicken drive-thru, and you get your Popeye's chicken sandwich in the drive-thru. Now we won't be doing that because of the express lane. So what about that poor Popeye's franchise?
As a lover of their secret sauce, I think I would still make that stop.
Yeah, trust me. Meredith gets a hankering for biscuits. We're stopping at Popeyes. All right, Jacqueline, thank you. Congratulations to you guys. Good
Thank you so
job,
much,
and we'll be watching.
Larry, Patrice, thank you so much for having me.
Patrice, remember when Hunter Biden had finally finalized that child support settlement in Arkansas, and he also had that plea deal that eventually fell apart over the tax and gun charges, and then inexplicably, suddenly, he was at the White House. He was at the White House
All
for
the
a state
time.
dinner. He was there for 2 weeks, living at the White House, and of course, we observed that at the time, and we said, "Oh, they're getting their stories straight." They have lots of private time, quiet time, off the record, and they can get their story straight of all the crimes and all the investigations that are coming forward. Well, listen to how the Washington Post is covering it. Tyler Pager, who calls himself a reporter at the Post. Hunter Biden stays close to father at White House amid criminal probe. Here's the subheadline. A day after he reached a tentative deal with Justice Department, Hunter Biden began 2-week stay at the White House, underscoring President Biden's fatherly attachment despite his son's troubles. That's what they're going with, Patrice. Yeah, he was just there
fatherly duty.
Because Joe's such a good dad. Yeah, it had nothing to do with maybe, conspiring to...
keeping an eye on him, babysitting,
justice.
Getting your stories straight. There are lots of things that they were probably doing during that time period. If anything, maybe they were on Hunter Biden suicide watch. All of these things are on the table.
Here's what happened during those 2 weeks, other than them getting their stories straight off the record in the residence where no one's watching. He also appeared at a state dinner honoring the Prime Minister of India. He got to do 2 getaways at Camp David. He had the Independence Day celebration, and I'm sure this is not connected at all. That's when they found that little baggie of cocaine.
You're right. How coincidental.
Completely coincidental. Coming up, Newt Gingrich. It's O'Connor and Company on a Friday in your nation's capital. It's O'Connor and Company at 7:36 on this Friday morning. Coming up at 8:05, Rob O'Donnell, who was there on 9/11 at the World Trade Center. We'll get his reaction to the news about Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. And then at 8:35, Byron York, who is still wondering why a sitting vice president would have to use a fake name in conducting official government business. That's all coming up. I'm Larry O'Connor with Patrice Onwuka. Good morning, Patrice.
Good morning, Larry.
And joining us now is the former Speaker of the House and presidential candidate in 2012, Newt Gingrich, who, of course, was affectionately known as Mr. Newt by the late, great Rush Limbaugh. I always want to call you that, Mr. Gingrich, because Mr. Newt, I mean, that's the
feel
best.
Free. Listen, feel free. It's a great honor.
First, before we get into some of the things of the day, by the way, his brand new book, March to the Majority, is a great memoir of the events leading up. What basically 30 years ago is when really things started to go into motion, heading into that great 1994 midterm with the Contract of America that really, for the first time, gave Republicans legislative power in the House of Representatives, first time in, 50 years. It's a great memoir. Thank you for writing it. It's actually inspirational considering what we're hoping to achieve in this country now. If I could quickly ask this story, I can't get past the Vice President Joe Biden sending emails under a fake name, under a pseudonym, Robert L. Peters, and some of these emails. I mean, is there any legitimate reason why this would happen?
Look, these guys are the Sopranos.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Every time you turn around, if you simply say, "This is a nonviolent mafia social group who got together to loot using public influence and public position," and you say, "Gosh, what would people like that do next?" Every single time it turns out that's what they were doing.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know at what point the American people are going to realize we're on two roller coasters. We're in a totally lawless system of trying to destroy Donald Trump, and we're in a totally crooked system of the Biden family. And the Bidens, of course, simply are following Hillary Clinton's lead because she was a much bigger thief than Biden is. The amount of money that she took, the degree to which she went after the public interest. I mean, someday the Congress is going to have to subpoena the Clinton Foundation records, and they're going to be stunned at how many millions are involved. But the Bidens are the same thing. Just say to yourself, okay, I have this son. I really love my son. He has a little drug addiction problem. I want to help him out. He doesn't seem to be able to do any kind of competent job, but he could probably learn to be a bagman. And so you say, here you have a whole new career. We're going to send you around the world, and magically in Kazakhstan, Ukraine, Romania, Russia, and China, your good friends are going to decide to give you money because you're so bright and so committed. I mean, give me a break. Does anybody seriously believe that's the story?
I don't think so, Speaker. And let's hope that next week on the debate stage, this is one of the questions that comes up about, about these shenanigans that we've seen with President Biden. But, turning to next week, actually, we've got 8 candidates who have made the minimum standards for the RNC. 5 have actually signed on to the pledge. Who needs to have the best showing next week? And who do you think is going to drop out as a result of their either not being on the stage or just a poor performance next week?
Well, I think there are several relatively unknown candidates who may start to disappear just because they can't even get on the stage. I think of the people who will be on the stage, the person who needs the best showing is Governor DeSantis.
Yeah.
Because his campaign has been decaying for about 5 months now. And if you look at the polling numbers, it's breathtaking how much money they've spent and how much they have failed. So, if he can't suddenly appear to be more competent, more likable, more potentially presidential, then I think you could have one of the most expensive campaigns since John Connolly spent millions and got one delegate. So I think DeSantis has the most on the line. The person who has the biggest upside is Vivek Ramaswamy, who in some polls now has replaced DeSantis as the number 2 candidate. And in there's a gambling site where you can go in and bet on who you think will be the nominee. And 2 days ago, it was 73% thought Trump would be the nominee, but the number 2 person was Ramaswamy. He was at 10.5%, and DeSantis was at 10.3. Now, if you have $100 million super PAC, you have one of the self-anointed best consultants in the country. You're the governor of our third biggest state, and you're now down to a point where a totally unknown business entrepreneur is beating you. Your campaign is in trouble.
Yeah. By the way, real fast, is there a line on Asa Hutchinson still? Because I've had Asa fever for months now.
There's a line on Asa, but none of us can find it.
No. Newt Gingrich is our guest. And listen, you made a little bit of noise yesterday. You were on my friend Charlie Kirk's show, and you told us a story you've heard around D.C., that the fallout from Merrick Garland appointing David Weiss as the special counsel last Friday was so monumental that a phone call was made from Washington to the Fulton County DA, Fannie Willis, saying, bring those charges out Monday. We got to see an indictment. Have you had any follow-up on that? Have you heard any more from your source about that?
No, and I've been very clear that this was from a very reputable source. I have no proof that it happened.
Yes.
But you ask yourself this question. The grand jury is supposed to meet on Tuesday in a regular, orderly way. They were supposed to hear from additional witnesses. All of a sudden, over the weekend, they're going to come rushing in on Monday.
Yep.
They're going to not even start until late Monday afternoon. They're going to have this fiasco of trying to get it typed Monday night. I mean, I spent 2 hours with Sean Hannity on Fox watching this and trying to figure out what is going on here.
Mm-hmm.
And she was put in a position, I mean, something you would never do normally. She's doing a press conference after everybody in America has gone to bed, or at least on the East Coast. I mean, I'm sure that in the Pacific time zone there were a lot of excited watchers. But you watch all this and you say to yourself, remember, they release the charges before the jury votes.
Right. Oh, the whole thing was done so haphazardly.
That's right.
You know, I mean, it's both an outrageous indictment and one which I noticed that a Georgia state senator has called for a special session to investigate it, which they should do. I mean, I think if she's already put up a campaign fundraising site while doing this. You know, I mean, the degree to which she is behaving like a hack left-wing politician rather than a district attorney is astonishing. And I hope the Georgia legislature will come in special session, and I hope they will investigate why they have a district attorney who is so utterly irresponsible and who created, frankly, an indictment that is outrageous. I mean, 19 people. Forget Donald J. Trump, who's president, big boy, fairly wealthy. 18 other people are scooped up in this, including people who are just everyday Americans who've been doing exactly what the Al Gore electors did in 2000. I mean, they did nothing illegal, and now they're going to be bankrupted by hiring lawyers because the DA in Fulton County has decided to go after them. Why? Because they're Republicans. I mean, it is utterly, totally outrageous.
Yeah, your home state of Georgia is starting to look like Illinois at this point with the way the Democrat Party is handling itself. We got to leave it there.
The amazing thing is Stacey Abrams, on 30 different occasions, denied that Brian Kemp had been elected governor.
Yeah.
Do you see the district attorney going after Stacey? I don't.
Not at all. By the way, is it true that Ambassador Gingrich, your wife Callista, has come out with another Ellis the Elephant book in the children's book series?
No. She has a whole new project that I'm very proud of. Right. She's working on a TV series called Journey to America, which interviews legal immigrants who have come to America and made America a better place. And one example is Henry Kissinger. She interviews a whole series of businessmen and fascinating called Journey to America. She is beginning, I think, she hasn't yet quite told me exactly how she's doing it, but I think she's probably going to write a book about negotiating, with the Vatican and what it was like to be the American ambassador to the Pope.
Well, listen, keep us updated on that. I saw somebody tweeting about Ellis the Elephant, so I thought maybe there was a new book. Either way.
No. Ellis is cheerfully out there still, and I think they have a big push on Ellis at Christmas. So,
Guys.
you know,
Well, listen, all
it's a
that
great
stuff.
thing if you have kids.
Everyone can stay on top of everything Gingrich, from Ellis the Elephant to the latest book, which I really do recommend, March Toward Majority. Go to Gingrich360.com for all that stuff. Thank you, Mr. Newt. Always good to talk to you, sir. And now I'm just seeing Callista Gingrich, the aforementioned Callista Gingrich, just tweeted out her wedding day picture. 23 years of marriage today. Happy anniversary, Mr. Newt. He could have mentioned that just now. I hope he knows.
We would have said happy anniversary. Yeah.
Maybe this is his. No, just go get some flowers, Newt. It's your anniversary. All right. Coming up, we got Rob O'Donnell to talk about crime and this deal with Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, and we've also got Byron York. But I want to. Have you seen this new fad? It's a trend on TikTok, so it's got to be toxic.
Oh no! Is it smelling cinnamon again?
No, it's actually worse. It's a whole series of videos. There's a lot of moms, a lot of young moms on TikTok. You know what? Don't you have a lot? I remember when I had a lot of stuff that I had to do when I was a young parent. I don't have time to set up my camera and take a video. But they're baking at home, and they've got their little toddler on the kitchen counter with them. And what they do is they take an egg that they need to put into the bowl. Yeah. And they smash it against their kid's forehead. Instead of cracking it, on the side of the bowl or on the counter, they hit their kid's forehead. It doesn't hurt, but it shocks and surprises the kid. And, I mean, it is kind of funny when you watch them, but at the same time, it seems kind of abusive and exploitive of their children.
I wouldn't call it abusive. I mean, abusive would be smacking them with a hammer on the forehead.
Right, okay. I guess I just mean they're exploiting their child.
I think exploitive. That's right.
Yeah.
I think that I don't like it whatsoever because I don't like hurting kids, playing pranks on kids. I'm totally against it. I'm probably because I'm very gullible, so I'm prone to having pranks pulled on me. But I also think that I wouldn't want my kid, unless I want to control my kid's face and be the one. I don't know. I just
no, it's wrong. And again, they're doing it for clicks. They're doing it. They're doing it on purpose just so people click on their video. I remember a few years back there was this trend of parents scaring the hell out of their kids, like hiding in a dark room and scaring them, and then posting it to YouTube. Just stop. It's gross.
I mean, if Dad wants to grow a beard and then show up and show the baby, that's cute. But no, eggs on the forehead, no.
It's 7:53.